Well, probably the landscapes of now North Florida, and then I had a weird dream, as one does, and suddenly I had a whole novel with these really interesting and unique characters. And I think one of the things that struck me the most about visiting the set of Annihilation was how, even though it was shot in England, they managed to capture the essence of North Florida in some weird osmosis of a reaction. So, yeah.
I was on post-production of the previous film in the edit, and one of the producers of that film, who's also one of the producers of this film, had the book and sent it to me and just said, "You need to read it." So I did, and there were two things about it that really hit me. One was that it was original; it was truly original. Most stories in books and films and any medium really are retellings of other stories, and that get repeated almost like in a sort of ritualistic way. And this just wasn't like anything I'd ever read, and so that was significant and sort of seductive. And the other thing is, it has this very, very powerful, strange atmosphere, and it was the atmosphere which felt like the act of reading the book was like the act of having a dream, and it was something to do with that. Basically, what I do is write a script and then distribute the script amongst a really large group of people who are long-term collaborators. A lot of them some of them we've been working together about 20 years, some of them less than that. And really what happens is a big conversation starts, and all those groups of people who are quite autonomous in their own right, but also part of a collaboration, and they share the ideas. We all just start talking and swapping ideas, and it kind of evolves from that.
It was really interesting because the series has kind of evoked something in reader imaginations to begin with, so that they've been creating a lot of like art and even like fan fiction and whatnot. So I was already kind of used to the idea that the series was not entirely mine anymore, that it created this space for collaboration. But I was not prepared for how closely the visual imagination of the movie matched the book. When I saw all the storyboarding of the different images that you set out, I was just blown away, in part because they were all things that I was, that were just kind of part of my own kind of core aesthetic, but also they had images in their research that were the same images that I'd been drawn to when I wrote the book. And that seemed almost impossible, because there's no way that you could have known what I'd been looking at and thinking about in terms of the aesthetics when I did it. So I thought that was pretty amazing. Also, even the village mailbox that you had with the lichen was uncomfortably like our own mailbox, overgrown with lichen.
We'd been stalking you for a while.
Right.
Photos.
So you just basically took photos of that.
There's a drone over your house most of the time.
Right, yeah. I mean, I've gotten used to it. It's okay. It's all right. Thanks for that. Yeah. Well, I think you pulled out themes of basically what does it mean to be human, and what does it mean to encounter the unknown, that are very much in the book. And what does it mean to be in that kind of situation that's incredibly tense, where you don't know what it is that you're facing, and how you have to deal with that. That's at least one thing that I saw.
To me, some of it, I mean, hopefully all of that, and also the nature of change, of being confronted with change, which is change of things around you and also your own change, and which I guess broadly you could call mutation, but that kind of stuff.
There's some stuff connected to North Florida that's very much an environmental message that comes through in the books, but it's not in a very overt didactic way. It's just kind of in the feel of it, in that visual imagination, and the idea of how you encounter nature, and what you see and what you don't see. And I think some of Alex's visuals that are unique to the movie, that we've seen in the previews, are very much, again, true to the book. They're kind of a reaction in some cases, I think, to the book, and thinking about how do you translate that to film, or how do you translate that to your vision. And so I like that. I wasn't really looking for someone to do an ironclad, faithful adaptation. I was looking for something that was interesting, that would surprise me. And so the movie surprised me in several places in a really interesting and useful and just kind of like blew me away in places that I didn't expect, because of course I wrote the book. So in theory, you know, it's all familiar to me. But no, I thought it was a really beautiful and that mix of beauty and terror that is in the movie is also in the book, and I think it's very effective on the screen.
My favourite things are the things that stay with you. They're not full circles, they're broken circles, and they have some afterlife. And that was precisely the nature of the book, and it's exactly what we would hope would happen with the film. That when the film is finished, it has a kind of clinging effect in terms of mood and some of the thoughts it provokes. You know, in an ideal world, it would provoke a conversation or a dream or something, and just continue to live in some kind of way.
Thanks for checking out Get to the Movies. If you like what you saw, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe button for more great content uploaded every week.